All right, let's talk about something huge, artificial intelligence. It feels like it's rewriting our world practically overnight, and honestly, trying to keep up can feel like you're navigating a storm without a compass. So, in the middle of all this chaos, how do you even begin to find your bearings?
And look, you're probably feeling it too, right? There's this constant flood of news, of hype, of some pretty intense debates. It's a lot, and it's really hard to know where you should even start to get a real, solid handle on what is actually going on.
So here's our take. The best way to navigate this brand new territory is with a really good map. And for a topic this big and this complicated, that map is built from the foundational books, the ones written by the researchers, the thinkers, and the critics who know this stuff inside and out. So let's dive into the essential reading that can really guide us through the world of AI.
Our first stop, we're going down into the engine room. Because before we can get into all the talk about the future or the huge social impacts, we've got to pop the hood. We have to understand the technology itself. What is actually making these incredible systems tick?
Okay, right off the bat, we need to clear something up that trips a lot of people up: the difference between AI and machine learning. You see, artificial intelligence is the big classic dream, right? The whole idea of building thinking machines. But machine learning, or ML, that's the actual engine driving most of the AI you see today. The key is this: instead of being programmed with a bunch of rules, these systems learn by churning through massive amounts of data. If you get this one distinction, you're already halfway to understanding how modern AI really works.
So if you really want to dig into the how, these books are your absolute best toolkit. Melanie Mitchell's guide is fantastic for getting a no-nonsense, balanced view, cutting through the hype to see what AI can and, just as importantly, can't do right now. Then you've got Pedro Domingos, who introduces you to the 5 tribes of machine learning, these different schools of thought all racing to find one single universal master algorithm. And hey, if you're coming in totally fresh, no programming, no math, Tom Talley's AI Basics is the perfect place to start. Super accessible.
Okay, so we've been in the engine room. Now let's climb up to the crow's nest and look out at the horizon. This is where the conversation gets, well, a little bit wild. It's speculative, it's philosophical, and it's potentially world-changing. This whole area is about the big what if. And you really can't talk about the future of AI without bumping into this one huge idea: the singularity. Now, it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but what it really means is a hypothetical tipping point, a moment where an AI becomes smarter than humans, setting off a runaway explosion of technological growth that is so fast, so profound, that we literally can't predict or control what comes next.
And when people debate the singularity, they usually fall into one of two camps, with two totally different visions. On one side, you've got the ultimate techno-optimist, Ray Kurzweil. For him, this is our destiny, a glorious fusion of man and machine where we conquer disease, aging, maybe even death itself. But then you have the other side. The philosopher Nick Bostrom, in his book Superintelligence, lays out this chillingly logical warning. He argues that creating something way smarter than us is probably the most dangerous thing humanity could ever do. If its goals aren't perfectly aligned with ours, it could be an existential catastrophe. That is the famous control problem.
In that control problem, it's not just some sci-fi idea. It's what keeps some of the world's top AI researchers up at night, like Stuart Russell. In his book, Human Compatible, he basically argues that we're building AI all wrong. As he says here, we're giving them fixed goals. He believes we need to go back to the drawing board and design systems that are fundamentally uncertain about our values, so they're forced to learn from us and stay beneficial to us. It's a powerful call to action.
All right, so dreaming about the far-off future is one thing. But for our last stop on this map, let's bring it right back down to Earth. Let's look at the ground beneath our feet. Because AI isn't some future fantasy, it's here, now, and it's already creating some very real, very urgent problems today. And a huge part of this conversation starts with the term coined by mathematician Cathy O'Neil, weapons of math destruction. What a name, right? She's not talking about killer robots. She's talking about something way more insidious, the secret black box algorithms that are making huge decisions about our lives: who gets a loan, who gets a job, who gets parole.
These systems are sold to us as being fair and objective, but O'Neill proves how they can actually bake in human prejudice and then scale it up massively.
So how does that even happen? How does a bunch of code become biased? Well, thinkers like Cathy O'Neill and Sophia Noble show that it's a tragically simple pipeline. First, you take a society that already has biases, and you collect data from it. That data is, surprise, also biased. Then you feed that biased data to a machine learning model. The AI doesn't see prejudice, it just sees patterns and learns them as truth. And finally, it applies those learned biases at incredible speed and scale, leading to real-world discrimination in everything from home loans to hiring.
And finally, there are the hidden costs. AI loves to present itself as this clean, magical thing happening in the cloud, but Kate Crawford's book Atlas of AI just shatters that illusion. She reveals the physical reality. There's a massive planetary cost, the rare minerals we have to mine, the insane amount of energy data centers consume. There's a human cost, the armies of often low-paid workers around the world labeling data, the grueling work that makes AI seem smart. And there is a huge political cost, this incredible concentration of data and power into the hands of just a few giant companies and countries.
So, what a journey, right? We've been all over this map. We went into the engine room with the builders, the people who actually explained to us how this stuff works. We gazed out at the horizon with the dreamers and the worriers, debating our ultimate fate. And we stood on the ground, right here in the present, with the critics, who are demanding that we confront the very real harms that AI is causing today.
Look, each one of these territories, the technical, the future, the present, is a vital piece of the puzzle. The goal here was never to give you all the answers. Frankly, nobody has them. The goal was to give you the map, to show you the key landmarks and the best starting points for your own journey. So, now that you've got it, the only question left is, where will you begin?